Hey guys and gals, Team Player Gaming here, and today we finally got the Dark Archive playtest. That's right, brand new information on the Psychic and the Thaumaturge. This is going to be a first impressions video. I have not looked at the Psychic at all. The only thing I know is the information that we got at Gen Con. So let's just dive right into it. Okay, so it looks like the key ability score is either intelligence or charisma, just like the dev said at Gen Con. Determined by subclass, I guess. Okay, so next up is HP, 6 plus con, just like Sorcerer. Okay, that makes sense. Uncommon. Oh, uncommon. Okay, that's interesting. But it makes sense too, because these are pretty weird classes. But you do have to have your GM's permission to play this. Okay. Now let's see. What else? Alright. Trained in Perception. Trained in Fortitude and Reflex. Expert in Will. Kind of what I expected. Trained in Occultism. Makes sense. And additional skills equal to 3 plus Intelligence. So if you're in Intelligence 1, you get 7 extra skills. That's pretty good. Then we have trained in simple weapons and unarmed attacks, untrained in armor, and trained in unarmored defense, trained in occult spell attack rolls and occult spell DCs. Okay, this is looking like the occult version of the sorcerer to me, at least in terms of initial proficiencies. All right, so yeah, we've got ancestry background. Okay, this is interesting. Apparently, you can substitute your verbal components with mental components, which is determined by subclass. Um, and they add the concentrate trait. Okay. You can also substitute mental material components with somatic components. Okay. That's pretty cool, actually. These tend to be simple movements of the head or of the hand or head, compared to those of other spellcasters. Okay. It looks like the rest of their spells work pretty much the same, including the heightening of spells. Okay, so this is interesting. Apparently, as a psychic, you can improve some of your cantrips with special amps. Those are probably going to be feats. That's just a guess, though. We'll see. And okay, so it looks like there's subconscious mind and conscious mind. We'll have to see what those do, but it seems like you would have to choose between. You would have to, like, if you pick the intelligence one for subconscious mind, then you have to pick it for conscious mind. But I'm not really sure. But the conscious mind gives you extra cantrips and amps for them. Oh, and a unique cantrip, which is probably in the playtest. Let's see here. The spell repertoire works similarly. Yeah, okay. Same thing with swapping them. Okay, psi cantrips and amps. Okay. So they work like other cantrips. It looks like these are the focus spells. Okay. You can't swap them out unless you retrain the feat you got them from. Okay. You get 3 psi cantrips. 2 of these are common occult cantrips, and then there's a unique one, I guess. You can buff them with amp. Okay, that's yeah. When they said that this was going to focus on cantrips, they weren't kidding. Okay, looks like you can spend focus points to use the amp. Okay. You can gain additional amps through feats. Oh, okay. You start with a focus pool of 2 focus points. But you don't spend them on focus spells, you spend them on amps. Okay. But if you have focus spells from another class, then you can still spend focus points to cast them as normal. So it doesn't look like they have a whole lot of spells when compared to the sorcerer. But I mean, you're gonna get more cantrips because of the conscious mind. So yeah, okay. But other than that, it looks like yeah, it looks like you can refocus by meditation, practicing a craft, uh, or an activity that gives you the mental space to self-reflect. Um, and it looks like if you spent 2 focus points, you get 2 back. Okay, when you refocus. Okay, here we go. Subconscious mind. Okay. Apparently, you get to choose a subconscious mind and a conscious mind. Okay. So first we have emotional acceptance, which is the charisma one. Okay, so it looks like you replace verbal components with an emotion component uh, that you hold a specific feeling. Okay. And if you're affected by a harmful emotion effect, your cantrips actually heighten to 1 level lower than normal, which is very interesting. So then we have precise discipline, um, which is probably the intelligence-based one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like you can replace verbal components with calculation components. Okay. So if you're an intelligence psychic, you really don't want to be near anyone with attack of opportunity. Because you're flat-footed against attacks made as reactions as you cast a spell. And if your spell is disrupted, and you're stupefied 1 until end of turn. Yeah, you really don't want to be near anything that has attack of opportunity. You almost have to be like away from things. Yeah, you're well, not only because of the HP, but because yeah, you don't want to be near anything with an attack of opportunity. If you're this type, yeah, no, you don't want to be anywhere near. Okay, so it looks like the conscious mind gives you granted. Okay, so it gives you extra spells, um, and this determines the psi cantrips you gain automatically at first level, which are the standard cantrips that come from the tradition and the unique one. Looks like these are the ones that get the amps. Okay. Oh, and then you can take the deeper side breakthrough feat to get another cantrip. Okay, so it looks like we got 3 conscious minds in here. We got the distant grasp, the infinite eye, and the silent whisper. Okay. It looks like the distant grasp is about like telekinesis. Okay. So we get a bunch of spells like magic missile, telekinetic projectile, levitate, fly, telekinetic hull, wall of force, force cage, earthquake, and implosion. Okay, but the we also get the psi cantrips, which are the standard ones are mage hand and telekinetic projectile, and the unique one is telekinetic rend, and the deeper psi cantrip is the rest trajectory. I guess we're going to get both of those here in the playtest. We'll see. Okay, so here are the amps. Looks like the amp for Mage Hand lets you this is like grab things with Mage Hand that people are holding, which could make disarming better. We'll have to see. But yeah, if this makes psychics able to disarm people, that would be amazing. And then it looks like Telekinetic Projectile just makes it do more damage. Okay, that makes sense. So it looks like Telekinetic Rend does 1d6 bludgeoning or slashing to all creatures in a 5-foot burst, and heightening by 2 increases the damage. Looks like amping it allows you to add another 5-foot burst to the area, but the 2 bursts can't overlap. And large creature in the area takes the damage only once. Okay. And heightening it by 2 levels just increases the damage again. Okay. And then we have Arrest Trajectory. Okay. So, this is the reaction. You or an ally are the target of a physical range strike. Okay. They gotta be within 30 feet. And the target is the triggering creature. Okay. Okay. So they get a +1 circumstance bonus to AC against the triggering attack. If the attack misses, the projectile clatters to the ground. Okay. And heightening it to 7th increases the AC bonus to +2. Okay. This could be really good for teamwork. Just give an ally a +1 to AC against a physical range strike, like a bow or something. That sounds really cool. Oh, okay, here's the amp for it. You not only block the missile, but you send it back to its source. Unlike with many amps, you can choose to amp the spell after you successfully block the attack with Arrest Trajectory, rather than as part of casting the spell. After blocking the missile, you hurl the intercepted missile back at its source. Okay. You cast Telekinetic Projectile, targeting the attacker. You don't need to have... Okay, so you don't need to have Telekinetic Projectile in your spell repertoire to cast it in this way. And the spell's range is 60 feet. But you can't amp it. You're then slowed 1 until the end of your next turn. Okay. This could be good, too. Unfortunately, I don't like that you're slowed 1 until the end of your next turn. But it's still pretty cool to be able to just be like, oh, I block you and then I send it back. That would be very cool. So now we should cover Infinite Eye. So it looks like this one is about like clairvoyance and stuff. Okay. So knowing things. Okay. So we've got True Strike, Augury, Clairaudience, Clairvoyance, Prying Eye, True Seeing, True Target, Unrelenting Observation, and Foresight. Okay. Yeah, so the side cantrips are Detect Magic and Guidance. The unique one is Mental Scan, and the deeper side cantrip is Future Path. Alright, let's look at the amp for Detect Magic. Okay, so this could make Detect Magic really good in battle. So, as long as you detect the presence of magic, you gain a +1 status bonus to saves against magic for 3 rounds. And heightening that to 3rd level, when you identify a school of magic, you gain information that helps you tune your defenses against it. When you learn the school of magic for the highest level spell in range, the status bonus on saves against magic goes up to +2. Okay. And 4th, you pinpoint a source of magic with great precision. In addition to the bonuses on save, when you pinpoint the source of a high-level magic in range, you determine its exact location. However, if the target is still hidden from your other senses, it's concealed to you. Okay, that could be interesting. We'll have to see. I could definitely see that last one being good for teamwork, because if there's like a really powerful magic on an enemy and you want to get rid of that sounds really cool. Mm-hmm. Oh, I just wish you could combine this with the Mage Hand one. That'd be amazing. All right, let's look at guidance. Let's look at the amp for guidance. Oh, okay. So, oh my god, that's so good for teamwork. So when they use the bonus for from guidance, and so you cast guidance on someone, and if they use the bonus and critically fail on their check, they get a regular failure instead. That's really good for teamwork. I'm liking I'm liking the psychic more and more as I'm reading this. All right, now let's look at mental scan. Okay, so you quickly view your surroundings. You can choose to seek in the spell's area. However, regardless of whether you seek, choose one creature in the area to target. If the target is concealed or hidden from you, you automatically succeed on the flat check. This counts as preparing to aid one ally in your choice on an attack roll against the creature. And when you take this aid reaction and roll a critical failure, you get a failure instead. Oh my god. That's one. Oh, alright, cool. That's really cool. I like that a lot. And then for the amp, so you just automatically learn which of the target's saving throws is the highest and which is the lowest. And you and allies within 30 feet gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage against the creature for 1 round. If you use the aid reaction you prepared on with mental scan and succeed, this one increases to +2 on the attack you're aiding. Oh wow. Yeah, this could definitely be something that will get people to use aid. Now, let's see here. Then we got Future Path. Okay, so for 2 actions, you stride without triggering reactions. Okay. That's very good. So the amp is you stride twice instead of once. Okay. And then at 8th level, if you cast it with the amp, you can choose to project your vision into an ally within 30 feet. Instead of moving yourself, you allow the ally to stride without triggering reactions as a single action. But they have to do it on their as their first action on the next turn, or it's lost. Okay. I didn't think that was good. I didn't think that was that good for teamwork originally. But that 8th, oh my god, wow. That 8th is really good, especially if you have especially if you have a team of spellcasters. I can definitely see that being used for teamwork. Let's look at this key terms real quick. Amps are special thought forms that modify the properties of your spell, of your psi cantrips. You can only apply an amp to a psi cantrip, which is referred to as an amped cantrip. Applying an amp takes 1 focus point and is considered part of casting the spell. The singular focus required to amp a psi cantrip means that unless otherwise noted, you can only apply 1 amp to a given cantrip. And you can't apply both an amp and a meta magic ability to a cantrip at the same time. Okay, that makes sense, because that would be completely broken. If both an amp and an amp cantrip deal the damage of the same type, combine their damage for the purposes of weakness and resistance. Okay, yeah. Feats with the amp traits provide different amps that you can apply to psi cantrips. Okay. Psyche mindset when you unleash the psyche action. Okay. It has a specific requirement as well as its own benefits and drawbacks. You can't unleash 2 different psyches at once. While your psyche is unleashed, in addition to the other effects, you're constantly surrounded by the manifestation of your psychic magic. This allows you to amp 1 psi cantrip each round without spending focus points. Oh, that's really cool. This outpouring of psychic power also overwhelms any other magic you might cast. Until your mind returns to normal, the only focus spells you can cast are psi cantrips, even if you have other focus spells like from an archetype. The unleashed psyche persists for 3 rounds or until you fall unconscious. Once your psyche is unleashed, there's no putting it back. You can't voluntarily exit the state. You can only unleash your psyche during an encounter mode against a significant threat. You can only use it in easier or more challenging encounters, but the GM might allow it in some trivial encounters. And once you've unleashed it, you can't go back. You can't do it again until you've refocused. Okay. All right. Well, back to the Silent Whisper. Okay. Yeah, it looks like this one is more of the support psychic. Okay, this is definitely the support one. So you get Mind Link, Remove Fear, Heroism, Telepathy, Synaptic Pulse, Sending, Vision of Danger, Uncontrollable Dance, and Telepathic Command. Okay. And the standard psych cantrips are Daze and Message, and the unique one is Nudge Intent, and the deeper one is Shatter Mind. Okay. So the amp for Daze looks like if the target fails a will save, they gain weakness 1 to mental damage until the end of your next turn, and a -1 penalty on will saves until the end of your next turn. On a critical failure, the weakness is 3, and the target is also stunned 1. This weakness applies before Daze deals damage. Oh, okay. This definitely makes Daze better. Yes. And it looks like heightening it by 2 levels increases the weakness by 1. Okay. Yeah, this definitely makes Daze a better teamwork option. Oh, yes. Most definitely. I mean, on a critical failure, they're stunned 1, and they have weakness 3 to mental. To mental, yeah, and they take a -1 on will saves. Yeah. This is definitely gonna help. Then we have the message. Okay, what's the amp for message? Okay, so this allows you to the target of your message can immediately spend its reaction to step or stride. And heightening the oh my god. Fighters are gonna love this for teamwork. Yeah. Just I get to shove, strike, or trip you with a reaction if you message me. Yeah. Oh yeah, fighters are gonna love the amp for message. Yeah. All right, now let's look at nudge and dents. Okay, so it looks like you choose either strike, cast a spell, or use a skill action. If the target can't pursue the action, they're automatically unaffected. For instance, a creature without spells will be unaffected by cast a spell. Okay. Otherwise, at the beginning of their next turn, the target must choose to do their best to perform your chosen action that turn, or attempt a will save. And then they're immune for 1 minute, regardless of the outcome. Okay, sure. All right. On a critical success, they're unaffected. On a success, they're frightened 1. On a failure, they're frightened 2. On a critical failure, they're frightened 3. And amping it means if they fail or critically fail their save, they're also stunned 1. Oh wow, this is really good. So basically, what this does is allow you to choose what they do, and if they don't want to do it, they have to make a will save. And yeah, unless they critically succeed, they're at least frightened 1. And if they fail or crit fail, they're also stunned if you amp it. Wow. Yeah, I'm liking the psychic more and more as this goes on. Yeah. All right. Now let's look at Shatter Mind. Okay, so, okay, 3d6 mental damage to all enemies in the area with a basic will. Okay. And heightening it increases it by 1d6. Okay, and it looks like it's a 15-foot cone. Amping it increases the area of the spell by to your choice of a 30-foot cone or a 60-foot cone. Creatures that fail are stupefied 1 for 1. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is definitely the psychic I'm building. Yeah, if I do a video on a psychic build, this is the one I'm building, most definitely. And amping it by 1 level increases it by 1d6. Okay, the damage. All right, now we finally get to Unleash Psyche. You can cast 1 Psi cantrip with amping it without the focus point cost. Each one has a specific requirement that you need to meet to unleash it. Typically has a drawback and an effect. Okay. Unleash focused intent. So it's your 3rd turn of the encounter or later. That's what's required. Okay. And the benefit is you cast a spell from your spell slots, and if you do, then you gain a status bonus to that spell's damage equal to double the spell's level, as long as the spell deals damage and doesn't have duration. Okay. But the drawback is you take a -2 to AC while you've unleashed Focus Intent. Okay. I'm sure there's going to be more of these when the actual class comes out, but until then, this seems to be the only one we've got. Okay, so Psychic Feats, Skill Feats, General Feats, Signature Spell seems to be pretty much the same. Skill increases ability boosts. Ancestry Feats. Okay, Precognitive Reflexes increases reflex saves to Expert. Expert Spellcaster, yeah, Expert in Occult Spells and Spell DCs. Great. Fortitude to Expert, okay. Walls of Will is the will saves to Master, and if you get a success, you get a crit success. Okay, Expert in Weapons with Weapon Expertise. Personal Barrier. Unarmored Defense goes up to Expert. Weapon Specialization is pretty much the same. Master Spellcaster, pretty much the same. Fortress of Will at 17th. Will saves to Legendary. Okay. Yeah, this is essentially greater Juggernaut, but for will saves. Okay. Legendary Spellcaster. Okay. Infinite Mind. Okay, this is the one that gives you your 10th level spell slot. Okay. Alright, now let's look at feats. First up, we have Ancestral Mind. Oh, this allows you to cast any innate spells you know from an ancestry feat or heritage using your psychic spellcasting components. Okay, that could be really good. It becomes a cult, and you use your psychic spellcasting ability modifier instead of the normal one. Okay. Counter Thought. Okay, this is the reaction. The trigger is a creature casts the spell that has the mental trait, and you've got an unexpended spell slot you could use to cast a spell that has the mental trait. This is essentially counterspell, but for spells with mental traits. Okay, that makes sense. Mental Bubber. Okay. So this just gives you resistance to mental damage equal to half your level. And it's equal to your level when you unleash your psyche. Okay. That's interesting. Psychic Rapport. Okay. When you're affected by a mental spell or have cast a mental spell this round, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus on Deception, Diplomacy, Intimidation, and Perception to sense motive. This is good. Yeah, this is something I would definitely take. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, just Just the fact that you get a +1 to Intimidation. Frightened is one of the best debuffs in the entire game. And +1 to Intimidation at level 1 is really good. And even later on. And just all you have to do is have cast a mental spell or be affected by one. Alright, let's look at an Unleash Self-Defense. You've cast 2 unofficial spells on yourself or an ally this encounter, but each on a different round. The benefit is when this psyche is unleashed, you gain a +1 status bonus to your AC and 1 saving throw of your choice, decided when you unleash your psyche. All the spells that don't have the death trait gain the non-lethal traits. Okay. The pacifist influence on your... Okay, so the drawback is... You gain a penalty to spell damage rolls equal to the level of the spell that you cast, and a -1 penalty to spell attack rolls, and the DC of any spell that deals damage or otherwise affects the target's health or hit points, including those that apply the drain condition, disease, or poison the target, or kill the target. Okay, Cantor Expansion is pretty much the same. Mental Bomb, this is another... Okay, this is an amp. Alright. So, you use this amp in place of the Psy Cantrip's normal amp entry. Okay. Okay, so you use this amp in place of the Psy Cantrip's normal amp entry. You can use this amp only on a Psy Cantrip that targets or affects one or more of your allies and doesn't target or affect any enemies. Okay. You or one ally within 30 feet get a +1 to will saves against emotion effects. You can also have the amped Psy Cantrip attempt to counteract one effect on yourself or the chosen ally, imposing the frightened condition, or an effect imposing the stupefied condition that has a duration of 1 hour or less. A success, you end the frightened and stupefied conditions, but you don't end any other parts of the effect. Okay. That's really good. Yeah, and it seems like you can apply this to any Psy Cantrip, which is really good. Okay. But you do have to give up the normal one. Which, okay. So, could be good for teamwork. Yeah. Oh, warp space. Okay. This should be interesting. Looks like you can only use this on a Psy Cantrip that has a range. Choose a square within 30 feet and determine the spell's line of effect and line of sight from there, as well as whether creatures have cover against the spell. Any bonus from the cover the target has is reduced by 2 against the spell. The spell can't exceed its normal range as measured from you. Okay. So basically what this does is it allows you to choose a square within 30 feet and have the spell go from there rather than where you are. And reduce the cover the target has by 2. That could be really good with certain spells. Yeah. Psychic Beacon is another amp apparently. This sounds really cool. Basically, using this amp basically announces the presence of anyone you hit with it to everybody else. Choose one creature that has been hit by the spell or that fails a saving throw. For 1 minute, it makes it easier for people to notice him. If the target was invisible, it's merely concealed for 1 minute. If it was concealed, it's no longer concealed. As the beacon clears up the concealment and makes it perfectly easy to see, even in areas of poor visibility. Okay, very cool. Yeah. Of course, if the target's invisible, you still have to hit them with the spell. But this could be really good for like someone who has the The freaking soul sight. Yeah, this could be really good for teamwork with someone with soul sight, or just someone with a C invisibility. Spontaneous ignition. Okay, this is another amp. Use this amp in place of. Okay, the amp must be one that deals damage and doesn't have a duration. Okay. Half of any damage dealt by the amp psych cantrip is instead fire damage, and the spell also deals an additional 1 fire damage per spell level. It has the fire trait. If the spell does more than one type of damage, change half the damage of each type to fire. Interesting. Alright, now let's talk about Strain Mind. You have 0 focus points, and you don't have a Psyche Unleashed. This is a free action that you can use once per hour. With the trigger, you cast a Psy cantrip. You strain your body, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So basically, this allows you to amp a cantrip without using focus points, but you lose hit points equal to double the level of the spell. This could be really good for when you're in a situation where you can't really refocus. Yeah. All right. Now we come to 6th level feats with inertial barrier. Okay. The amp is you or one target of the spell gain resistance to physical damage equal to 2 plus the spell's level until the start of your turn. Okay. Really good. Yeah. Really good for fighting like fighters and stuff and things that want to smash you. Parallel breakthrough. Okay. All right. Oh, this allows you to gain the unique surface cantrip for a conscious mind other than your own. Okay, that's pretty cool. But you don't get anything else. Okay, next up is Sixth Sense. I've been waiting for this feat. Okay, so when you're not searching, the GM rolls a secret check for you to find haunts that usually require searching, as well as spirits, creatures on the ethereal plane, and beings made up of spiritual essence, such as celestials, fiends, and monsters. You can also potentially notice ethereal creatures and spirits inside solid objects, provided they're within 30 feet of you. This applies when you're searching, while seeking, and on automatic secret check from Sixth Sense. You still can't notice spirits. You can still notice spirits only on a successful check, and you can't see them if they're more than 5 feet inside an object. When you notice a creature with Sixth Sense, you also learn its location, making it hidden to you if it had been undetected. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah. This could definitely be something that would be good for teamwork. I mean, if there's ghosts around, yeah, you kind of notice. You can notice them, and ghosts have a tendency to want to sneak up on people, so this could be really good. Okay. Thought form summoning. You can create a prototype creature from the depths of your imagination. Whenever you summon a creature, you can instead create a psychic construct in the shape of that creature. This grants it resistance to physical damage equal to half its level, weakness 5 to force and mental damage, and the ability to pass through enemy spaces without needing to tumble through. But it can't end its turn in such a space. Interesting. This could be good for, like, Summon Fae. Yeah. Alright. Unleash calculated reasoning. Okay, this is another Unleashed Psyche. You need to have the precise disciplined subconscious mind. Okay. And the requirement is you cast 2 damaging spells since rolling initiative, each on a different round. Okay. Your mind overflows with calculated confidence that all results should be exactly what you've determined them to be. While this psyche is unleashed, if you would roll damage for a spell, you can choose to deal half the spell's maximum damage instead of rolling. This damage is still halved on a half damage result, doubled on a double damage result, so on. Oh, there's actually no drawback for this. You've taken everything into account and cancel all the drawbacks. Wow. Unleash Soaring Passions. Okay, this one requires emotional acceptance. You've used 2 different emotion effects since rolling initiative, each on a different round. Okay, that's the requirements. The benefit is, while this psyche is unleashed, if you succeed on a spell attack roll, you gain a +2 bonus on your next spell attack roll. And if the enemy fails its save against your spell, it takes a -2 status penalty on the next save they attempt against one of your spells. This bonus or penalty lasts until the end of your next turn. That's really good. While the psyche is unleashed, when you fail at a spell attack roll, you take a -1 penalty to your next spell attack roll, and if the enemy succeeds its save against your spell, they gain a +1 bonus to the next save. This penalty or bonus applies until the end of your next turn. Okay. So, alright. This is actually really good. I can see why this is the emotional one. The Unleash Soaring Passions. I can definitely tell why this is the emotional acceptance one. Yeah, this is amazing for teamwork. Just -2 penalty on their save. You really have to combine this with other emotion effects, but you would anyway. So, really good. Alright. Alright, now let's move on to the 8th level feats, which we have Deeper Breakthrough, which, okay, this is the Deeper Breakthrough feats that gives you the Deeper Psyche cantrip for your conscious mind. Okay. When you unleash your psyche, you can remain in that state longer before leaving it. Increase the duration of your psyche for 5 rounds. Okay, that's Lingering Psyche. That's definitely one we're going to want to take. Yeah. Mental Static. Okay, this is the reaction. And the trigger is you roll a critical success on a will save against a mental effect from a creature. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so basically, if you crit succeed on a will save against a mental effect, you deal mental damage back to them. That's really cool. If you desire, you can also send them a single mental image to coincide with the damage. Yeah. I could see this, like, when this actually comes out in Dark Archive, I could see this, like, giving you a bonus on Intimidation. Yeah, totally. On Demoralized, yeah. Mesmerizing Gaze. Okay, so eye contact lets you invade another creature's thoughts. When you cast an enchantment spell that targets only one creature within 30 feet who can see you, you can gaze into their eyes, -1 status penalty to their saving throw against your spell, unless they choose to break the eye contact as a reaction. If they don't look away, you're fascinated with them until the end of your next turn as you maintain eye contact. When you use Mesmerizing Gaze, the Avert Gaze action provides its bonus to saving throws against your spells, and the spell's effects have been connect. So basically, the Avert Gaze action provides its bonus on saving throws against the spell, and the effects have become connected to the eye contact. Okay. That could be really good with some occult spells, absolutely. Okay. Let's see here. Automatic clairvoyance. Okay, these are 10th level feats. This requires the infinite eye, conscious mind. You gain a +1 status bonus on initiative, and you aren't flat-footed to hidden, undetected, or flanking creatures of your level or lower, or them using surprise attack. Okay, so this is essentially just +1 status bonus to initiative rolls, and the rogues. Oh, what's it called? I don't remember what it's called, but rogues get this too. Let's see. Okay, then we have automatic telekinesis. Okay, this is the distant grasp. Conscious mind one. Okay. You can telekinetically perform simple interact actions with squares adjacent to you, such as opening a door. You can't perform actions that require significant manual dexterity, including actions that would require a check to accomplish, and you can't use it to hold items, though you can use an interact action to telekinetically draw a nearby item to a hand to hold it. Okay, this could be interesting too. I can see this being used to like sidestep a door that's trapped to activate the trap because it activates when you open the door. Yeah. Okay. Autonomic telepathy. Okay, this one requires the silent whisper conscious mind. Okay. You can communicate mentally with any creature that's within 15-foot aura as long as you share a language. This doesn't give any special access to their thoughts or communications, and no more information than normal speech would. The communication is two-way. In addition, when communicating with any form of telepathy, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to perception checks when attempting to sense motive or detect a lie. This sounds really cool. I like this a lot. So basically, now you can give information to people in your party without actually saying anything. That's really cool. I like that a lot. This should definitely be combined with recall knowledge. Signature spell signature spell expansion. Um, you gain 2 additional signature spells, each of which must have a minimum level of 3rd or lower. Okay, wow. All right, that's really cool. Combine that with like fear. Yeah. Unleash dark persona. Okay. Um. So the requirements are the same enemy has damaged you on at least 2 of its turns in this encounter. Okay. So the benefit is whenever you deal damage to the selected enemy with a spell that doesn't have a duration, you gain a status bonus on the damage equal to the spell's level, or double the spell's level if you cast the spell from your spell slots. And you gain temporary hit points equal to the spell's level that lasts until the beginning of your next turn. But the drawback is that while your Dark Persona is unleashed, you can't cast beneficial spells on your allies, and you take a -1 penalty on checks and DCs against targets other than your chosen foe. And if you defeat the selected enemy, your Dark Persona ends even if the psychic duration hasn't passed. Okay, this could be really good against bosses. Yeah, I could see that. The only problem is that you can't cast beneficial spells on your allies, and you take a -1 to pretty much everything against anything but the target enemy. Yeah, this could be really good, but in other ways, it's just not. Okay, 12th level. Empathic connection. You gotta have the emotional acceptance subconscious mind to take this, okay? Once per 10 minutes, you can use this. An ally within 30 feet benefits from an emotion effect. Okay, this is a reaction. So you would use this after you cast, like, I don't know, some emotion effect on your ally. Your sensitivity to your ally's emotion allows you to benefit from some of the same effects they do. Choose one of the following benefits. If an ally regains hit points due to the triggering effects, you gain half these hit points as temporary hit points, okay? If the ally gained a status bonus to a type of save or other check due to the triggering effect, you gain the same bonus. This benefit ends at the end of your turn if it hasn't already ended due to its normal limitations or duration. Okay, if this doesn't get people to cast emotion effects, cast emotional spells on allies, nothing will. Yeah, this is incredible. Yeah, you should definitely consider taking this if you're emotional acceptance, subconscious mind. All right, let's see. Then we have Mantra of Discipline. You've got to have the precise discipline, subconscious mind for this, okay? Your mantra gives you a +1 status bonus to saving throws against illusions and enchantment spells until the start of your next turn. You also gain this bonus against any effect that works primarily by causing pain, even if it isn't an illusion or enchantment effect, as well as resistance equal to half your level against the damage caused by such an effect. These effects must work primarily by inflicting pain, such as phantom pain or savor the sting, rather than simply causing injury. The GM is the final arbiter on what counts as such an effect. Okay, well, this isn't that good. I mean, it really only affects you, so I really don't see this being part of a teamwork build. No. Alright, let's look at Unleash Immediate Gratification. Okay. So the benefit is you gain basic benefit of having your psyche unleashed, allowing you to amp focus spells without paying the cost, but you gain no special benefits beyond that. Okay. Prematuring, pushing yourself into an overload state, leaves your mind struggling to catch up. You're stupefied 1 for the duration of your unleashed psyche, and you can't remove or mitigate this condition in any way. Wow. That drawback is almost too bad. Yeah, no. I really don't see many people taking this. I mean, stupefied is like one of the worst conditions a spellcaster can be under. It really is. Yeah, I really don't see people taking that. Unleash Reflective Sustainment. Okay, this is another psyche. And the requirement is you cast a spell with a sustained duration during this encounter, and then sustain it on your next turn to extend its duration. Okay. You become quickened and can use the additional action only to sustain a spell. Okay. That's pretty good. Partitioning your mind into a second consciousness makes it more difficult. You can't use reactions or free actions on other creatures' turns, nor can you sustain a spell as a free action, such as with the effortless concentration feat. This could be okay. Yeah, I could see this being used with like I don't know, black tentacles or something, and be really good for teamwork. Yeah. And the drawback isn't that bad. I mean, you can't sustain a spell as a free action. That's just to balance it. Yeah. I mean, otherwise you'd be able to cast 2 spells in one turn, which would be a little ridiculous. Yeah, I can see why they did that. Alright, now we move on to 14th level. Alright, let's see here. Conscious Spell Specialization. Okay. You gain an additional spell slot of 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th levels. You can use these spell slots only to cast spells granted by your conscious mind. At 18th level, you gain an additional 5th level spell slot with the same restrictions. Okay. That's pretty good. Yeah. Just getting extra spells. Like I said, Occult spell list is the best teamwork spell list in the game. And getting more spells of it is always good. Alright. Let's move on to Deep Roots. When you cast a spell that imposes the controlled condition or otherwise forces the target to take certain actions, such as command, you can choose one target who critically failed their save. When the target finishes fulfilling the commands issued by the spell, or when the spell's duration or counteracted, it takes 1d4 mental damage per level of the spell. This right here is one of the things where I hope this gets people to use, things like command. Yeah, absolutely. Alright, now let's look at Shattered Space. Okay, here's the amp. You or one target of the spell is surrounded by a spiral of torn space. This is an aura with a 5-foot emanation. Any creature that starts its turn in the aura takes 1d6 slashing damage for every 2 levels of the amp psi cantrip, with a basic reflex save against your spell DC. The aura lasts until the beginning of your next turn. You can choose whether the aura affects the creature emitting it. I see so many ways of using that. Oh my god. So put it on an enemy and make them take the damage, and any allies that are within 5 feet of it, and then just sit back and use ranged attacks against that enemy, or put it on one of your allies and just, anyone who comes near him is going to take the damage. Yeah, I can definitely see this being good for teamwork. Yeah. Okay, 16th level, we have Constant Levitation. Your power has unbound you from the earth, letting you float harmlessly. You're affected by a constant airwalk, except the highest you can walk is 5 feet above the ground. When your psyche is unleashed, you're also affected by the fly spell. I can't really see any teamwork options for this spell other than just you can fly so you can hit flying creatures. Or, fly up a mountain or something. Yeah. If you could constantly airwalk up things, that'd be great that would be great in exploration mode. Yeah, totally. I could definitely see that being used in exploration mode. Anyway, let's look at Unleash Poltergeist Phenomenon. Okay, so the requirements for this psyche are you've cast 2 evocation spells that affect an area since rolling initiative, each on a different round. The benefit is when your psyche is unleashed, you gain an aura of telekinetic whirling debris with a 15-foot emanation. Any creature that starts its turn in the aura takes 1d4 damage for every 2 levels you have with a basic reflex against spell DC. So this damage is based on the environment. Okay. Oh wow. So the drawback is you're included in that. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well. this could be good to keep enemies away from you, but yeah, you are going to take the damage too, unless you save. Okay. Alright, 18th level, we have Cranial Detonation. So, you can add this amp to a spell after you've successfully reduced a non-mindless enemy to 0 hit points with the spell, rather than as part of the casting of the spell. The amp is the enemy you reduce to 0 hit points dies and its head explodes. If the cantrip reduced more than one foe to 0 hit points, choose one head to detonate. The detonator generates a shockwave and a 15-foot emanation around that enemy. Each creature in that emanation takes 1d4 damage per level of the amp spell, with the basic save against your spell DC. You can choose physical or mental damage, and it deals force damage with a basic fortitude save, or mental damage with a basic will save. Okay. I mean, I can see this being really cool, but at the same time, it's like, the only way this is... I mean, this is just something that does damage. It's really cool, but it just does damage. And kills something, but, you know. But you gotta knock them down to 0 hit points, and yeah. They're probably dead at that point anyway, so, yeah. Divas Wellspring, okay. You've tried... Okay, so this allows you to have 3 focus points. Okay. Wow, that's really... Okay. That's a really high feat. I think this is probably going to be a little bit... I think when this comes out originally, this is going to come out. You're going to be able to pick this at a lower level than 18. Yeah. Alright, now let's talk about the 20th level feats. Let's look at these. Become Thought. Okay, so basically you become a being of pure thought. You gain resistance 10 to physical, weakness 5 to mental, and weakness 10 to any effect that deals damage specifically by targeting the spirit, such as Spirit Blast. Once per century, when you die, you automatically return to life as one living sentient creature on your plane that remembers you. The memories allow you to reconstruct yourself from their thoughts. Wow. Okay. Oh my god. So basically, you become someone. Yeah. So basically, you take over someone's mind once a century. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I assume this is gonna be a GM. This is this is gonna be a GM thing. I mean, it's only once per century, but still, basically you can only do this once. Dual amplification. Okay, so basically you get two amps to a focus cantrip, and it only costs 1 focus point to add both amps. That's really cool. Yeah, that's probably going to be... Well, we'll have to see what the other ones are, but that one might be the one I take at 20th level for my teamwork build. Mind Over Matter just gives you an additional 10th level spell slot. Okay. And Multi-Faceted Psyche. If you meet the requirements for 2 psychic abilities when you unleash your psyche, you can gain both simultaneously, gain both the benefits and both drawbacks. That could be interesting. There are quite a few psychic abilities that are really good for teamwork. I could see this being really good for teamwork too. Alright. Is there anything else? Now, the rest of it is just the thaumaturge. So, we'll get to that in another video. So, overall, what do I think? Well, the psychic is certainly better than I thought it was. they have plenty of teamwork abilities. And yeah, at this point, I am much more excited to play a psychic than I was. But we will have to see what the thaumaturge can do, because I'm very excited about that. And that's going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Pathfinder 2nd Edition teamwork content. You can also check out my Facebook and my Twitter. But if you really want to support me, you can pledge to me on Patreon. Links are in the description. So until next time, remember, teamwork is vital.